Yeah. Did you hit live already?
I did. Yeah, we just hit it.
Oh, well, yeah, you go check the live stream. Welcome to the FiveStack. This is an exact science, but only if you're in North America. We are currently in Greenland, and it it is a hardy country, but it does not have the comforts of North America. It's difficult to get cell phone service in some places, difficult to get Wi-Fi in some places, and so I apologize for yesterday. That was a bit of a ghost in the machine, and we did a banger podcast for an hour with Malcolm Nance, Mr. Jacob Kaarsbo. Both of these gentlemen need no introduction, and then we found out after. Oh, it's not working.
It was such a good
Sorry, boys.
show.
For what
We had such a good
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Brilliant
Oh,
show.
that didn't broadcast?
No, it didn't. Shh, we
It was
hope
a
you weren't going
great
to
ass
notice.
show.
We apologize for that, but we're glad you're back for this. It was a dress rehearsal for today. So there you go.
Yeah.
And we did so well, we got booked for another night. So here we are again on another FiveStack. Gentlemen, since we last spoke, there has been some news in Minneapolis and with the President of the United States. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But I'm also want to
Sure.
get your sense of what's happening in Greenland. And how was Daddy's last night? Or did you not go?
We didn't
I think
we
that's
didn't go to
tonight. I think
Daddy's.
that's tonight.
Yeah. Stuff is being I gotta be honest with you. There's no time here. The working day is about 5 hours.
Right.
The sun literally will not come up until 10:30 in the morning. It's black at 10. And at 10:30 you start to go blue when it comes over the horizon. So from 10:30 you're until about 4 o'clock. That's your sunlight.
Oh, wow.
And all businesses close for the most part at 5 o'clock. Government shuts down then. So if these guys got up this morning at 8 and took a 2 hour boat ride. I'd already done that trip, so I did riding this morning. But your day, and then you get here, and then you're trying to process all your work. Like I got a big Substack that I've got coming out, and it's also situations that overtake us by events. Greenland, these crazy comments the Trump made today. So and these guys went on a 6 hour tour today of some of the most beautiful terrain you'll ever see. Right? I'll let them
Yeah.
talk to that.
We've got great
But
pictures to
that's
show as well
why
later on.
8 or 9 o'clock we're done. 8 o'clock night after dinner.
I get
Everyone's
it.
crawling into bed. And they're like, "Daddy's, Daddy's is a checklist item. They're gonna go there tonight. We're gonna have a drink,
Just do it so you
meet some
can.
locals, and leave."
Yeah. Put it on the
Yes,
list and
it's
get
a
it done, and then
checklist
it'll
item.
be perfect afterwards. Well, let's talk a little bit about what's happening with Minneapolis. First of all, Trump deployed border czar Tom Homan to Minneapolis today for meetings with Governor Tim Walz and Jacob Fry, the mayor of Minneapolis. Some federal agents are leaving the state. Trump pulled Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bavino from his command after he basically was proven to be lying about the death of Alex Preddy. He was saying that Preddy was trying to massacre law enforcement, but of course, all the videos show otherwise. You've got a situation now where Bavino keeps his job, Krista Noem keeps her job, despite a 2-hour meeting yesterday with her and Corey Lewandowski and the president. And there are now finally calls from the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, who is saying that he is behind impeaching Noem immediately if she isn't fired. We can do this the easy way or the hard way, he said. So that is some good news in terms of the shift of the Democratic Party. But my take is that the rest of it all just seems like theater, like nothing's really changing. It's just we're going to move Bavino out and put Homan in. Is anything really changing behind the scenes, Malcolm?
We all know the story here, right? Trump will not fire even his most incompetent staff. I think the only reason he would fire her, or the only thing he would actually change, is insist that she fire Corey Lewandowski, because they're sitting there having sex on the government dime, having an affair on the government dime. And she flew him to Argentina to ride horses and takes him all over the world. And Trump doesn't like that. He doesn't like people who upstage him. But he won't fire Bavino. He won't fire Nome. He won't accept an impeachment, so an impeachment won't go through. The Republicans would rather die and protect child rapists, for example. So Hakeem Jeffries finally finds his spine on an easy issue now. And it's like, oh, well, we can go the easy way or the hard way. Shut the fuck up and just go the hard way,
Yeah.
right? The whole country is relying on him. And, I'm disappointed with him all the time now. And I asked him one time, I said, how are you from Brooklyn? How are you from Brooklyn? I mean,
Yeah.
you really feel like you're a country club, liberal who wants to, Aaron Burr this thing, right? You all want to have this discussion. When it's time to duel, you fucking duel and you don't throw away your shot, right?
Yeah, well,
So, but
he's
none
not
of
a
these
jeweler.
guys are losing their job. And Tom Homan's a fucking crooked, bribe stealing bastard anyway. So someone explains to me how that's good, right? You send in a guy
Dude, you forgot about drunk. You
talks like,
forgot drunk too.
yeah, drunk. There's a guy who comes in, he talks like he's got a fucking mouthful of marbles or lost all his fucking teeth.
Yeah. Can you just go back to this notion of Corey Lewandowski and Kristi Noem? I don't think people really know how deep a relationship this is and how weird it is that the president of the United States is
I'm going to
having...
tell you
Yeah.
precisely how deep it is. It's
Yeah.
exactly 2.5 inches deep. That's up.
Probably. I have no... we can't verify that fact, but it's
Well,
likely.
he is an inadequate white guy. Yeah.
All these motherfuckers got small dick energy.
That is probably very true for all of them, actually. But isn't it weird? I mean, Dean, this is the president of the United States having Corey Lewandowski in his office to deal with something, but he's just there because he's the girlfriend, the boyfriend of Kristi Noem.
Have you read the Epstein files?
I have read the Epstein files.
Yeah. I mean, listen. Yes, it's weird, but there's nothing not weird about this regime, and it's not an administration. Everybody needs to stop referring to the Trump administration as an administration. It's a regime. No, it's not weird in the Trump regime. Listen, you're talking about a guy that is deeply involved in sex trafficking minors. You're talking about a guy who's credibly accused of sexually assaulting 31, paying off, or trying to figure out a way to stipe 31 different women over the past 40 years. So the only problem he has with Corey Lewandowski and Kristi Noem's relationship, I refer back to Malcolm Nance's previous statement, is she's upstaging him. They're upstaging him. He doesn't like the negative attention with all the negative attention. It's got nothing to do with, like, Donald Trump does not have an ethical problem with Kristi Noem getting pegged by Corey Lewandowski on business trips to Argentina to ride horses. And it's like one of the most well-known fucking facts in Washington. And the crazy part is nobody talks about it. And it's funny because, like, I'm dying for somebody at a presser to go, yeah, Miss Noem, quick question over here. So-and-so from Axios, are you and Corey Lewandowski having intercourse? It's just that simple, but no one has the stones to do it. And no, it's got nothing to do with Donald Trump and having an ethical issue with fucking, Kristi Noem banging her chief of staff. And by the way, look at Kristi Noem, like, there's a reason why they do her press conferences 20 feet away. You get too close to her, it looks like someone sandblasted her face. So there's a reason for that.
I mean, if you say anything bad about her, she might send the ice goons after you. So maybe that's why. The president also today making a statement about guns, which I never thought a Republican president would ever say. Let's take a listen to what he said earlier on today.
Mr. Petty acting as an assassin. Do you think he was acting as an assassin in Minneapolis? Who is that? Mr. Preddy, your deputy chief of staff said that. You don't think so?
With that being said, you can't have guns. You can't walk in with guns.
What about the Second Amendment?
Listen, you can't walk in with guns. You can't do that. But it's just a very unfortunate incident.
What about the Second Amendment, sir?
That's basically the statement there. But, this is a Republican president saying you can't walk in with guns. You just can't have the guns. It's ludicrous. I mean, what happened to the Second Amendment?
Well, Kyle Rittenhouse is at the SHOT Show this week in Las Vegas with a minigun where he tweeted that he's going to bring it to Minneapolis, right? This thing shoots 5,000 rounds per barrel per second. Per minute. This is insane. Guns are the heart of MAGA. It's the implicit threat that they could do a civil war and kill you or have a politician be assassinated. This is the heart of what Trump's base is. The ability to be racist and the ability to kill. And now he's like, you can't be bringing guns. You can't be bringing guns. Oh, you know what? They already know that. This is a cult. They're going to those people are going to start mimicking this. And what they're going to say is what Roger Stone says. Liberals are not allowed to have guns. The Second Amendment only applies to pro-Trump people.
Interesting.
Because it's parallel to Putin demanding that Ukraine will be demilitarized and then they'll get peace. It's the same shit. It's the same thinking, and there you go.
Yeah, the FBI is now investigating the signal chats of people who are exchanging notes about the ICE operation happening in Minneapolis, and there's now an FBI investigation against the people who are exchanging helpful information about ICE being in the neighborhoods and protecting their neighbors.
I'm going to say, I heard Kash Patel's comment about this, and they're using, Palantir has a relationships tracking tool, which is fundamental in law enforcement and the intelligence community. And they're now weaponizing that. They have all put it out that they are tracking domestic terrorist groups. Kash Patel said yesterday, it's the money. We've got to go after the money. And what they're going to do is they're going to have a whole bunch of networked, relationships. And all it's going to be is this: a circle in the middle and all these little outstations feeding into it. And what they're trying to do, in my textbook that's used throughout US government, the terrorist recognition handbooks, right? Terrorist groups are generally compartmented linear chains of people. They are wasting US government resources because they believe in their addled, demented mind that this is an organized terrorist group, and they're going to make a case for that. And it's going to be laughed out of there. I mean, God forbid someone call me as an expert witness, and I'll say, this book's used at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, page blah, 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 right? Civil disobedience is not terrorism. End the fucking story. Not these guys. They are out to make a federal case about that guy, Alex Peretti, had to be a terrorist. They have to have this because in order for them to unleash this power against the United States, I would just have lawyers ready because this, if it were me, that's $1 billion lawsuit and you'll win it because they're violating your rights by using these powerful intelligence tools to track down essentially you know what? They're going to get the wrong network, wrong signal chat, and they'll be like going after people that are literally talking about cats.
Or Pete Hegseth. I might find him there too.
You can, and if I can too, you can add to that lawsuit. Today I watched a video of the ICE agents in Minnesota use, I think it's called Eldar, if I'm not mistaken. This is that discombobulator that Donald Trump was talking about. You want to talk lawsuit, Malcolm? What does that look like? They used Eldar against peaceful protesters standing in the fucking streets.
Billions. This thing is a microwave that fries your system.
Oh wow!
They're gonna have cancer cases out of this. There's going to be $1 billion class action lawsuit. This is a weapon system. It's suspected a Russian version of this created Havana syndrome, right? And they're going to say, oh, at a low level, this system, just makes you a little nauseous and all these things. That violates fucking the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, right? Unlawful search and seizure. And it could go under unusual criminal punishment where they're actually inflicting something on you like chemicals without your consent. I mean, oh my God.
And it's a violation of the First Amendment too.
And you know why they're doing it? Because they used a weapons grade version of this in Venezuela. And I wouldn't be surprised if Trump his fucking self said to use this.
Probably. This is not dissimilar to what the Kremlin uses, Jacob. This is the kind of tools they love to do with any protests.
Yeah, they label everyone as terrorists, narco terrorists and the protesters in the US. They use the same weaponry and the same methods. And, their version of legality is as long as all the guns are with us, then there won't be any trouble. And it's like Putin saying, okay, Ukraine, you get peace if you disarm. It's the same logic. And, yeah, Trump walks like Putin. He talks like Putin, and yeah, you
He
make
must
your
be a
own
Putin.
conclusion.
Yeah.
Let's talk. So go ahead, Dean.
No, I was just going to say, in terms of China, as we're talking, sorry, Russia, we're talking about Russia today. I was on a 2-hour boat ride around the Russian, or sorry, the fjords of NUUK, called the NUUK fjord, second biggest fjord system in all of Greenland. Guess what? I didn't see. I didn't see
In the
one
whole world.
Russian ship.
They weren't there to welcome you.
No, strangely enough, saw some guys catching fish, saw some kids playing outside in a small sediment, and we had a 2-hour boat ride. But I can attest to you, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news from Nuke: there are no Russian ships in Greenland.
Well, that's good to
None.
And
know.
breaking news: the Russian and Chinese ships are off the coast of Alaska. Breaking news.
Yeah,
There are.
very
Well,
true.
dude, like
Actually,
Jacob, walk us through that. You and
yeah.
I were talking about that today, and for everybody that loves a good misdirection and some lies from Donald Trump, and where the fucking real action is, it's off the coast of Alaska. Am I not? Am I not right?
Yeah, the Bering
It
Strait.
is. It is. And that's what all the intelligence in NATO says. And, they are observing all this. They've got all the surveillance in place, etc. And they know all these Russian and Chinese ships. The only place in the Arctic they cooperate, that's off the coast of Alaska, north of the Bering Strait.
Hmm.
And that's
No,
it.
it's
Yeah.
interesting. There's no real
When
threat.
we were when we received our brief about that, here's where I think Trump has one, he's a moron, so he doesn't understand it. Two, he doesn't know what maps are. They're colored things with
Yeah.
squiggly things. And they show a polar centered map in which the top of the map, the center of the map, is the geographic North Pole. And then they show all the countries that line around it, including Greenland.
Mhm.
And what they don't show is that polar cap is actually all white. It's ice like Antarctica. And it shows it like blue and clear because it technically is an ocean that's covered with ice. You got to be in a submarine to get through it.
Yeah.
And when I think they briefed Trump that China and Russia research ships have been operating in the Arctic. Well, the Arctic is that 360-degree circle that is regulated by 66 north, right?
Yeah.
Everything north of there to 90 in every direction is the Arctic Circle. But no one pointed out to him that, hey, those Chinese and Russian ships are off the Bering Strait of Alaska, right? Thousands of miles away from Greenland.
But he's not really
But he
concerned
got
about
into his
that,
head that
really.
they're there.
He's not really. I mean, that's not really the point behind going into Greenland. It's all about the
No,
strategic
it's a
advantage of
lie.
being, close to, or have a bigger stake over the Arctic. By the way, these are not your images, but there are some
No, it's
images
just about money.
of Greenland, and this place looks
That
exquisitely beautiful, and not a place you'd think about going on a vacation. But wow, this place is gorgeous.
it
Yeah,
is a place that
stunning.
you go vacation. What you're looking at right there in that
Yeah.
video, this is the Ilulissat Ice Ford. I went there last year in late winter, early spring. Every year, this is summer in that video. That's summer. And the icebergs are skyscraper tall, sometimes 10, 20 stories tall. And there's whale watching there in Disco Bay, which is where that is. But that's the Arctic Circle. It ain't warm unless you're in certain parts of the area, but the ice flows there. The iceberg that sank the Titanic came from Ilulissat Ice Ford.
Oh, interesting. And I mean, just in terms
And
of,
Seb, I have
yeah,
to tell you
yeah.
that every cloud has a silver lining.
Mm.
I was speaking to our skipper on the boat today, and he said this year, due to Donald Trump, they've had more than twice as many tourists as the year before. So basically, I was saying to him, just wait. If we keep the orange monster out, you're going to have a grand old time because this is just breathtaking and it is beautiful. And
Yeah.
it should be good, but of course, we need to keep the orange monster and his
Yeah.
buffoons out of it.
Now, this is summer, you point out. In the winter, which is now, of course, it's not that easy to navigate. We spoke about this yesterday, about the dog sleighs and the other ways that people get around there. The U.S. Army is going to have a very difficult time. I mean, they might win at the end of the day, but they're not going to be easily taking Greenland.
Well, first off, let me just correct some things right here, and we confirmed this on background, because there's no winning for the U.S. Army here. The way let's say that they decide that they're going to invade, that they're going to have to figure out whether they're going to come via aviation, which is either forced seizure of an airport, or clandestine seizure of an airport, maritime assault. I literally took the ferry up the entire navigable terrain of this country, which is the southwest portion, and it goes from every tiny little fishing village all the way to the south, and every one of them is in a rock-filled fjord with literal cliffs on both sides of you. And behind that tiny little village of 25, 30, 50, 100 people is nothing but a fucking solid sheet of ice, 1 mile deep, almost 800 miles long. So when you're off that coast, there's nothing connecting those villages except your vessel.
And so the U.S. Army has nothing.
An airport
can't deal with this terrain. They're not equipped for this at all. Certainly not also the long rifles
they are,
there.
Theoretically. Well, theoretically, the 11th Airborne is equipped for it, but what they would do is parachute onto the runway and seize it. A force of a small number of people, right, could force them to stay out away from the, civilization, to where they're stuck in the fucking ice. And as these guys learned in the NUUK Ford today, it's a fjord. It ain't like Norway. It's a lot steeper. This one's a little wider, but there isn't jack shit beyond it. There's no next village. There is nothing but your death. And if you get stuck out there, or your resupply gets shot down, or F-35s make it so that you can't aerodrop helicopters or something, or take another base, you could take 3 bases in this country, and all you will own is those 3 bases.
This really lines up with what Trump was saying today about the military bases. I don't know if you guys saw this, that he wants U.S. sovereignty over the American military bases. Greenland and Denmark have rejected it, but that's an interesting move that he's making there.
Yeah, what he's doing is he's essentially saying U.S. bases will be embassies, right? Have all the power of U.S. territory.
Sovereign,
yeah, sovereign territory, basically.
And you know what? I learned some valuable lessons today on that trip too. I cannot repeat the name of the town. Maybe someone else can help me with it, specifically Jacob.
Kalalahlit.
Yeah,
K-Town.
Yeah, dude, it's incredible. So we went to this at the end of the
Salmon Village.
Salmon Village is what it means. Yeah, at the end of the NUUK Fjord. Keep in mind, we took K-Town. We went to K-Town today. It's a tiny settlement. 40 people live there. It's got its own church. We went and visited it today. We watched fishermen go out and literally drag back a bleeding fish. They're like massive fish all the way up the stairs. Listen, there's a couple things I learned today, and I'm a big question asker. And I asked Jacob a question, and I said, if someone wanted, because the scenery is like, it's spectacular. You're never going to find it anywhere else in the world. Absolutely anywhere else in the world. Stunning cliffs. Absolutely the cleanest water. It is so quiet. It is so beautiful. It is so peaceful. It is so pristine. These are views you cannot get anywhere else, anywhere in the world. And I asked Jacob, I'm like, why don't the tech oligarchs just buy a piece of land? And he goes, that's a great question. So he asked Orla Jolson, who was our guide today. He was the guy that set up the water taxi to this little community through the NUUK fjords. And he told us this amazing story. He's like, listen, the land owns the people here. The people don't own land. You cannot purchase real estate in fucking Greenland. Now, if you're Donald Trump and you're a real estate dipshit, like Donald Trump is, he's running around the world doing real estate deals. Gaza's real estate. Fuck, Kosovo's real estate. North Korea is real estate to him.
Yeah.
It's got to be disconcerting, number one. And number two, these people mean it. They protect this ecology and this ecosystem with their fucking lives. Like, that is something that nobody seems to understand. And you know, we talk about, you know, Donald Trump and Mike Wall saying things like the people of Greenland need us. We'll be so good to them. We'll give them money. That doesn't fucking matter to anybody. There's Jacob, beautiful sunset. This is at 10 o'clock in the morning, by the way. You
Oh,
do
wow.
not understand how deep that water is, how cold that water is. Look at that scenery and tell me where they're going to drop paratroopers into. It's not fucking possible. Like you're not going to do it. On top of it, like I said, the land owns the people here, and that was like this light that went off to me when Jacob told me that after chatting with Orla. Oh, look at that, Denver Riggleman. Is that Riggs? Yeah, that's Riggleman, and
Yeah, it
Jacob,
is.
former Congressman Denver Riggleman. Um, and so when I heard that today, I thought to myself, the United States military doesn't stand a chance. They don't stand a chance. They can't land anywhere. If they do, it's in the middle of nowhere. They're never going to resupply through Canada. We won't let them. So when he talks about just having those bases, they don't let the people that have inhabited this land for 4,500 years own any fucking land, Zev.
That's
It's
really
not
interesting.
possible.
It's fascinating because you know that that's what he wants, and that's exactly what the tech bros want, is ownership over that land for the resources that are buried underneath it. Someone mentioned to me about these long rifles. You've spoken about them before, Dean. I mean, these are, they sound formidable along with the dog sleds. I mean, it sounds like the weirdest modern army, opposition. But on the other hand, these guys might have the upper hand. They have dog sleds and long rifles.
Well, I saw one of those
Well, let
rifles.
me.
It's downstairs next to Malcolm's gear. Malcolm, I'm going to hand this over to you because you will do this justice. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, well, these aren't, we say long rifles here. These are civilian sniper weapon systems. And they're in very large calibers. They have the capacity to shoot out 500 yards or more,
Wow.
500 meters or more. They take down 1,000-pound musk ox with these, with one shot. They take down 800-pound caribou/reindeer with these with one shot. And so everyone has them. There's 57,000 people here. There are 35,000 long rifles. And contrary to popular opinion, there are AR-15 platform semi-automatic military style rifles here. You can buy those. You have to have a license for that. The other ones, bolt action rifles and shotguns, you go to the store, you put money on the counter, they take the money, you walk out. And you can buy any caliber of ammunition here. There's lots of it. But let me tell you something. This is not a warrior society. It's not a society that has ever had a war or even clashes between villages. It's not that kind of tribal. It's a survival, subsistence society. And, to be quite honest, there's there's the statue, Mother of the Sea, which is the how life was given to humans. Mother of the Sea will determine whether you live or die here, right? The U.S. Army does not have access to the Mother of the Sea. She will not help them. And they can parachute into freaking Kajlushwak, but when there's an air embargo and U.S. ships can't get there, they will freeze to death, right? Because you can't get fuel down for your portable generators. Yeah, you could take the hotel at the airport, but those staff are going to leave and the generators go down. You will freeze to death in summer. So it's just absolutely ludicrous. But the weapons here are everywhere. And I just want you to think about it. When you come up the road from the airport, there are all these apartment buildings around you. Just imagine 20 or 30 people just wailing away on you with sniper weapons that killed caribou and muskox.
I gotta just say that Trump looks like he's blinked now a lot on Greenland. He looks like he's blinking a little bit on what's going on in Minneapolis. This supposedly great leader, this strong man, is looking ridiculously weak right now as he's late for his address that he's giving in the Midwest over there. It's just stunning to me how weak and incompetent this administration really is.
it's interesting because I don't even I think we're seeing a bit of the call it the beginning of the end, but a couple of things that would teeter on me agreeing with you, Zev. One of them is the shit that happened today with Greg Bovino, yesterday with Greg Bovino, the meeting with Kristi Noem, and him effectively throwing everybody in the DHS that had anything to do with ICE and Alex Priddy under the bus. Today he said, I don't think Alex Priddy is an assassin. I mean, he just had his entire regime run that into the fucking brick wall all week long.
Yeah.
This is a guy very familiar with that pattern of him being able to say, they did it. It wasn't me. I didn't know anything about it. How was I supposed to know? Well, fuck, this guy's co-signed the thing the entire time. And for him to make a wholesale change like that, to pull Greg Bovino out, send that drunk fucking moneybag prick Tom Homan into Minneapolis, and really tell Tom Homan, according to some stuff I read today, bring down the temperature. We need to do that. That's not blinking. That's a guy who knows his political fortunes are tied to him killing his own citizens. That's what that is. That's a fucking opportunist. And when it comes to Greenland, let's just talk about that for a second. He got soundly spanked in Davos. He got embarrassed by Mark Carney.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was told by the EU that, listen, you're not going to get anything. The EU is going to war. We're watching. Like, we went to our ship today. We went past 2 Navy frigates. We went past an armed checkpoint with Danish soldiers. The Greenland squad is currently training up north with the Danish soldiers currently, and no one's allowed to go there because that guy wanted to bring the temperature down. These guys went to the briefing this week, but I'm telling you, man, there are thousands of fucking. We were in a restaurant the other day, and we sat right next to some of the hardiest fucking Danish soldiers you will ever see. There are plainclothes soldiers walking around this city all over the place, just enjoying their time. So no one's afraid of him, and he's not blinking. Everybody's catching on to his bullshit, and that's really key here. When we talk about the messaging that we see in North America, Greenland's got nothing, everybody's got cancer, Denmark hates Greenland. No. He has pushed Greenland into the arms of Denmark and NATO and the EU. Not only has he done that, the people of Greenland literally have zero desire to have anything to do with the United States of America. They're afraid of becoming Minnesota. I had 2 conversations today. One with Orla, another one with the gentleman who lives here. And I said, what do you think of the stuff in Minnesota? He goes, wow, we don't want that to come here, one gentleman said to me. And I said, well, of course you don't. Of course you don't. Like it's the messaging, the lies, the scam, the gaslighting. There is a very different reality that everybody else is getting. And listen, I'm going to say the same thing about CNN. The perpetration of this fantastic story that these beleaguered people in Greenland are living on, the bare minimum, and everybody's dying of cancer. This is the healthiest, hardest working culture I have ever met, ever.
Interesting. I want to move on to another topic, unless you guys want to jump in on that, Malcolm or Jacob.
No,
I just want to. He talked about.
Yeah, come on, Malcolm.
Well, I just touching back on CNN. The day before we arrived here, Nick Roberts was up at the Hans Ilya statue, which is the missionary that was here, and they had a little wind up there, and he had on full bore Arctic Circle gear. We're not in the Arctic Circle, by the way. The Arctic Circle is north of us 200 kilometers, 100 and some odd miles. And he was like, oh, it's super cold here. And it's like, I just came from minus 25 Celsius Montreal. That's minus 17 Fahrenheit. And I'm like, this place is 29, 30 degrees.
Yeah.
I mean, it's warmer.
It's cold in
than
Toronto
New
now,
York
I'm sure,
City.
than it is there.
But he did the whole CNN hurricane big mittens thing, and we're like, I'm not wearing a hat or gloves, and we're going to lunch.
It's very typical of
I was
CNN
here
that they create
for 2 days and then off again.
Yeah, they just come and do their shots, clinging onto the North Pole, trying to not get blown away. The number 3 story on the countdown today is all about Larry Ellison, who he bought TikTok. And in his first act on buying TikTok, apparently was blocking the word Epstein from direct messages. So now if you type Epstein into your DMs on TikTok, it tells you that you're violating the community guidelines. This seems like a ridiculous thing to do, obviously, but it's also maybe a signal of where they're going with TikTok and the misinformation machine that they're building. Go ahead, Dean.
If I can, we found out about this last night. We were sitting on the couch, and Malcolm tries to log onto his TikTok channel, and they wiped him out. They wiped him out, dude. It's not just Epstein;
Yeah,
they're taking
I
people
got
like
blocked.
Malcolm out. Too.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
They
news.
erased. They
That is
erased
breaking
my.
news.
Yeah, and I don't have a lot of followers. I only had about 7,000 followers, but they just closed my TikTok account. They've been doing that to some of the biggest accounts. Now there are people out there who've been on there for years. I only had 7 videos on there, but there are people who've been on there for years who were raking in as their income thousands and thousands of dollars. And I said, TikTok changed today because we heard Larry Ellison took
Yeah.
over. Closed accounts everywhere. Closed them everywhere. There are people out there. That is now TikTok is now a weapon system of the Trump administration. Everybody should essentially get off it and go somewhere else unless you're
How
putting
do,
out cat
And,
videos.
how does this help
and I
them?
gather
Jacob.
that's what JD Vance calls liberty, isn't it?
That is liberty. That's freedom, American style. It's kind of stunning that they're doing that, because you would think that they can sense the temperature in the country is that if you're trying to black out Epstein, you look like you're guilty of doing something with Epstein. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
but
what it looks like to me.
no, this is the Putin playbook. This is literally what happened in 1991. Vladimir Putin came in after criticism. He got rid of he had nationalized every news channel or sold it to his oligarch friends. He seized social media platforms. He changed every political talk show channel into balalaika dancing variety shows or action movies.
Yeah.
That's what's happening to America. They are buying social media and turning it into a pro-Trump weapon system. TikTok will fail quickly. I mean, it's being reduced to a few, dance videos and things like that. But people aren't going to be interested in that if they're now censoring, and they are censoring heavily.
It's Twitter's gone to Russia. TikTok's now looks like it's a combination of Trump and Israel and Saudi Arabia and Qatar who are funding it. I mean, it's quite a combination of non-democratic countries that have decided to
Yeah,
land.
Jacob, why are you laughing? Jacob, why are you laughing?
It's
Why are you
a
laughing?
shit show. It's a shit show.
It is a shit show. It really is. Meanwhile, my Greatest Heist series came out today, and it's a chapter 8 of book 2, and it's all about how Trump and Jeffrey Epstein participated in the crash of 2008. And it's a really good read that I encourage everyone to read, because it talks about how Jeffrey Epstein had this vehicle, an offshore vehicle called Liquid Funding. And in Liquid Funding were all these assets that were saved by the Fed when Bear Stearns went down. In other words, that Epstein and his network had a vault inside Bear Stearns that didn't go down with the rest of Bear Stearns, didn't go down with the rest of the market. They were saved. Who's inside that liquid funding? We can't tell, because the money was passed on from the Fed. This is taxpayers' money all the way into liquid funding, and then to whoever owned mortgages in there. But we can't see that. My guess is it may include someone like Donald Trump, who was heavily invested in Bear Stearns mortgage-backed securities. So there's I think a really urgent need to start looking at these financial crimes that these guys were doing. There's a history of this all the way from 1987 onwards, where they were running the market, crashing it, profiting off it, and then stealing the bailout money on the other side of that.
Right.
It's time for Congress to start asking those questions as well.
Yeah,
I was
this is
telling
where
Malcolm
they had
about your
turned
series today.
trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Go
where
ahead.
they took trash mortgages that were over leveraged, that people weren't paying their mortgages, and turned these and had them rated as triple A
Yeah,
investments.
exactly.
And I can't remember the name of that movie that was about the 2008
The Big Short?
crash. I'm sorry?
The Big Short.
The Big Short.
Yeah.
And they made it clear, we will fuck everybody, but we will not lose money on this.
Yeah.
We'll lose all of our clients, but we will not lose money on this. We will lie to our clients, let them lose all of their shirt, but we will not lose money on this. That is, and Jeffrey Epstein was one of the first people to buy these mortgages and package them up and have them rated as AAA.
And
When
was the
they were
first person to
trash, they were
trigger the
junk.
sell-off because he had so much of them backed
Oh,
in
really?
his trust that he triggered the sell-off. And so they had the timing. They had Jamie Dimon sitting in J.P. Morgan ready to buy Bear Stearns because he was part of the network. They had Staley in J.P. Morgan, so they knew exactly what he was going to do. Then they crashed Bear Stearns on Epstein's sale, and J.P. Morgan picks it up with Jamie Dimon and Staley running the show there. And then the feds put in trillions, almost $1 trillion into it. I mean, they were just pumping billions of dollars to keep this thing alive, include, taxpayers' money going to fund people's, mortgages as they're losing their homes. And Donald Trump goes from being $1 billion in debt to $1.5 billion in net worth. So he somehow gets $2.5 billion in a 10-year period of time between the 90s and 2008. Isn't that stunning that man who can't do anything was able to raise $2.5 billion out of nothing when no bank would touch him in that period of time? But somehow he did it. Dean, do you want to talk about that at all, or do you want to just move on to the number 2 story, which is all about China?
Yeah. I want to get to China. Listen, but I do want to encourage everybody. Zev does some of the most amazing investigative work, and he's been following the money trail for a long time. And everybody needs to go. Your work has just been incredible. Everybody needs to go and become a subscriber to Zev and get this Greatest Heist series, because this has been going on for 40 years. It attaches itself to the Epstein files. It attaches the Epstein files to every single distraction and every single threat, whether or not he's kicking the shit out of and murdering his own people, or whether or not he's trying to get Greenland. Listen, everything tracks back to this, so make sure you get that Greatest Heist series, everybody. Let's get on to China.
It's all about money, and it's also in China. The Xi Jinping story is quite remarkable. There was a purge of his 2 military commanders on Saturday for defying his 2027 Taiwan invasion deadline. So this is now what's emerged from the story. Some people thought it was a coup. Some people thought it was something else. But the Central Military Commission Vice Chairman Zhang Yujia, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that correctly, and the Chief of Staff Lu Zhenli are under investigation for seriously trampling Xi's authority. Zhang wanted 2035 for joint operations capability, and his November the 2025 article made it clear he intended to fix training problems first. In other words, Xi really wants to go to war by 2027. The army wasn't going to be ready until 2035. And so he axed them. Now, it doesn't mean the military is going to be any readier for war, but it's interesting to know what's going on inside Xi's agenda. Anyone will go for that, Jacob?
Yeah, but it fits into this whole pattern of centralizing the power around Xi, and people that have that mass of power make mistakes, and it seems to me that that it leaves the Chinese system even more fragile, not the opposite, because that's what we know. They're bound to make mistakes. Xi wants to push it forward. The armed forces likely won't be ready, and we've seen, where did we see that recently? We saw that that in Ukraine, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be the same signs we're seeing, or similar signs we're seeing there.
Malcolm, any thoughts about what's going on in China?
Yeah, I mean, one of the big mistakes that dictators make is that they set unrealistic deadlines for unrealistic objectives. And in this case, I mean, Taiwan, if the United States is involved, it would be very, very difficult for China to take Taiwan without having grievous losses. Now, if they want to play Russia of Asia, yeah, they could take grievous losses. But we're in a new world now where Trump has acquiesced to Putin's vision of a multipolar world. And in that multipolar world, China gets Taiwan and Asia.
Yeah.
Period. Right?
But they still have to fight for it.
Allies are talking about, they still have to fight for it. But if you can now get the world's biggest producer of chips right? The world will forgive you when you're creating sex robots that will follow you around, right? It's as
Sounds
simple as
terrifying,
that.
actually.
This is the as they call it, the reunification of a rogue province
Yeah.
that
But
has been
it's also
rogue for 80
saying
years.
they're not ready. I mean, it's saying they basically aren't ready to go to
They're
full
not
war.
ready.
They're not even close to being ready.
Yeah, but the
So,
question is, what's ready,
mhm,
right? They've never fought a war with the Chinese armed forces that they have now,
right.
right? I mean, going up in skirmishes against Vietnam, they took bad losses back in the, what was that, the 70s, right?
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that China has a numbers game, right? As a invasion force. They don't have the greatest quality, even though they're making all the military uniforms and body armor companies all around the world. But you still got to survive that little trip across the water. And Taiwan has been preparing since the 50s to be invaded, back since when it was called Formosa. So it's really about how many ships China can afford to have sunk,
Yeah.
And I think that if Xi fired them because they didn't meet the 2027 deadline, that's not a go time.
No.
That's a time where he could start threatening to go.
Hmm.
But if they're like, fuck it, no, you can't do it till 2025, or we lose 100,000 men trying to cross the water and ships sink, on fire left and right. Yeah, that could happen. But you should also read the book by Admiral Jim Stavridis, The Fiction 2035, where China figures out a loophole in computer chips and just shuts down the U.S. Navy
Mm.
to the point where they're sinking 3 carriers.
That's
I mean,
real?
that could possibly be
Oh,
real. No, it's a scenario. It's
okay.
called 20. The name of the book is
Okay.
2035,
I'll check it
right? It's
out.
about a U.S. China war. And it's so, China so screws up our electronics that they actually have to nuke China with a world war, with a painted chalk on a plastic bomb site,
Oh,
because you can't use anything electronic. They
yeah.
detect you.
Oh, that's
And
pretty
that's
interesting.
a scenario that Admiral Stavridis wrote as a fiction. It is a fucking terrifying fiction, right?
Yeah.
And the way that Trump is looking at the U.S. Navy, him and Pete Hegseth are now killing more sailors in the future of America than anybody. They go, we want to build the Trump battleship, but he killed the entire class of frigates that we spent 10 years developing, that we needed to start building 10 years ago. And China's putting out 26 a year. We're putting out 2.
Yeah. Also, but it does say that no one in the military seems that encouraging about going to war either. They seem to be quite not ready, but also not willing to push the deadlines either. So that's good news, I guess, in terms of there not being world war or anything like that. The number one story on the
Mhm.
countdown is this. So we're waiting for Donald Trump to show up at in Clive, Ohio. Is that where he's showing today? In Iowa, where he's going to be talking about these bridge payments to farmers. They don't want these bridge payments. They're not interested in these. Are tariffs. These are just
Welfare.
it's welfare they don't want. But he's pitching this as a solution to his tariffs. Meanwhile, tariffs are a big issue around Canada and the relationship with Carney. I don't know what he's going to say, because I was hoping he was going to say something by now, but he never said. He's not there yet. All we're looking at is an empty microphone. So we'll watch for that as the number one story develops. But maybe this is a good image to watch, because it's exactly what the Trump regime feels like right now, full of nothing.
He ain't home. He ain't home. No, listen, I love this scene. I think it's great. We are
Keep it
watching,
that
and
way.
I really do believe this. And we'll canvas the boys here to finish off the show. But I think if you look at him literally backtracking and try to throw everybody in his regime that in ICE and the DHS under the bus, I think that's one thing. The rebuke here by the people of Duke, and the sim that he's trying to force the rest of the world to live in, the loss that he he incurred at Mark Carney's expense, that's another thing. The people of Greenland and the EU telling him to go fuck his hat, that's another thing. The guy can't even fucking show up to a press conference on time. I mean, and surely we can wax about his health prospects, but my God, I mean, Donald Trump is a walking dead man. He is so ineffectual at this point on the world stage. His influence just it doesn't matter anymore. I mean, there is no influence of Donald Trump here. I haven't run into one person who's been like, yeah, Donald Trump. Not one single person. Everybody goes to work, they come home. No one here is afraid of Donald Trump. Somehow they've been able to, through mainstream media, and I ended off the show that we didn't get to last night this way, and I think it's really important to realize is that the veil is been torn wide open. What Donald Trump is trying to sell the rest of the world, and this is all he's trying to sell the rest of the world, is a lie. What Donald Trump is trying to sell as far as Alex Pretty's execution, Renee Good's execution, it's a lie. What Donald Trump is going to try and sell the American people about it not having anything to do with him and it has everything to do with his underlings, which is what he's going to do next, is a lie. He's not going to fire anybody. He's just not going to take any blame. But as my friend Lev Parnas likes to say, everybody is always in the loop. Every single person. And it all comes from Donald Trump. But we're literally watching, and this is such a great scene. He's not even there for his press conference. He's like a fucking hour late trying to give a bridge payment to farmers because he fucked them. He fucked farmers. And he's threatening to fuck the rest of America again by tariffing everything that comes in from Canada for no reason at all. 100% just because Mark Carney fucking embarrassed him in Davos. So his solution for everything is to punish Americans.
Yeah.
His solution for everything, if he doesn't get what he wants, is to take it out on the United States of America. And I think everybody that's watching this today needs a little reminder that you cannot trust CNN, you cannot trust clickbait, you cannot trust CBS, and you cannot trust Fox News. I mean, fuck OAN and whatever the other one, Newsmax. You know, that's not even in the realm of reality. So I'm not even going to include them and tell you not to watch them. You're just an idiot if you do. But you need to attach yourself to brands and people like Malcolm Nance, like Jacob Kaarsbo, like Zev Shalev, like my boy Denver Riggleman, like Ken Harbaugh. We will tell you the truth. We came here to find out the truth. We came here to find out what the truth is because the ecosystem of bullshit, the post-truth society, as we sit here and try and sift through these lies and these threats that are scaring the shit out of the free world, that are ending in executions of people getting shot in the back and the chest 10 fucking times for just exercising their First Amendment right. And somehow he almost convinced enough people that was cool. Somehow he almost convinced enough people in his own administration, strategic partners in Europe that, yeah, you should probably just give me Greenland. Like, I can guarantee you, and I would ask Jacob this question too, that there were some EU leaders who were probably like, it's not a bad idea before they got slapped across the face to say, because he's a terrific salesman, but he's selling you bullshit every single fucking day. And then he threatens mainstream media into selling that bullshit for him or fucking else. So make sure you keep guys like Malcolm Nance in your life, Jacob Kaarsbo, Zev Shalev. Hit the Chiron at the top. Make sure you give these guys a sub. Follow, and attach yourselves and your information, the affirmation that you get about what you believe. And I say this all the time, to people that you can trust. Because listen, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. They are. And we're watching it collapse in real time.
And that is why everyone should also subscribe to deanblundell.substack.com, because that's where Dean gets the most incredible information. And that voice that you heard there so passionately talking about the lies and about the lack of transparency in this administration is just some of what you get from Dean daily on all these shows. I want to thank you all, Dean Blundell, Malcolm Nance, Jacob Kaarsbo. Thank you for being here on a great FiveStack. We got it on the air this time. People got to watch. That's awesome. Everyone should subscribe to you guys. And thank you for your time. It's all about the truth and exposing the lies as the theme today. And we'll see you next time on FiveStack.
Hang on, let me just, before we let you go, want to thank our friends at the Save America movement for making all of this possible.
Yes.
Yeah. Go and get.
I think he's saying go to the Save America movement and sign up, because that's important that they get all the support they get. So Dean dropped off, and we'll say goodbye to everybody else. But as we do that, sign up to the Save America movement right now on Substack. Have a great day, everybody.
You too.
Cheers. Bye. Just you and me, Jacob. Okay, here we go. Now just me. How do I turn that off? This way.